Good evening, everybody. I'm getting there. There it is. Hi. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Stuff and Things, the weekly vodcast, live interactive vodcast, where we talk about different stuff and things. Tonight's topic is, at least to start with, we're going to talk about anxiety, which is funny because I have anxiety about talking about anxiety, which is super fun. But we're going to get into it, and I'm going to tell you a bit about where my anxiety comes from, stuff like that, especially more recently, like the last the last 4 or 5 years. But I please interact, talk, ask questions, tell your own stories, whatever. This is a fully interactive concept, and hopefully it. Yeah, I need some water real quick. Okay. So I discovered recently that I've had some form of anxiety my entire life, or most of my entire life. As a kid, and I never thought about it until I think it was a few months ago, I was talking with my wife and discovered that. So when I would go on family trips, where my family would go on trips, I would have these moments in the middle of the night where I felt like I couldn't breathe and I needed to get fresh air, and so I would have to stand outside. My dad would usually stand outside with me, and I would get fresh air and calm down and go back to sleep. I never realized that was basically I was having a panic attack as a kid. And it just was never something that, registered, because it wasn't something that was a reality for us, for my family. But I'm not going to talk about my childhood much. There's a lot of things, craziness. Maybe at some point in the future we can get there. But for now, I want to talk about the anxiety after I got married to my wife. Disclaimer, it has nothing to do with my wife. She does not cause me anxiety. If anything, she is the one that has helped me get through most of, if not all of my anxiety and any panic attacks that I have, anything like that. So, a couple years into our marriage, I guess it was in our first year of marriage, we got pregnant, and we only knew that we got pregnant because 10 weeks later we lost the baby. And a lot of times when you lose a baby, it's early on, you don't even know. But I mean, there was enough there that we knew what had happened. And then before we had Scarlett, Renee was pregnant, and at 14 weeks, almost all of the fluid came out of the sac. Almost all the fluid disappeared. We went to the doctors, and they were saying, giving us the odds, the percentages of, our child surviving to be born a healthy baby and stuff like that. And we decided to hang on and see if our little baby could fight. And he did for another month. At 18 and a half weeks, the umbilical cord prolapsed, which means that the umbilical cord physically exited my wife's body, a little bit of it, about that much. And we got her to the hospital, and they were talking to us about our options. And because the cord prolapsed, there was a much greater chance of infection for both baby and mom. And our baby boy was still alive. We didn't know he was a boy at that time. But because of the risks involved, we decided to end the pregnancy in the hospital that night. And we held our baby boy, and we named our baby boy Malcolm Nicholas Young. And that's his name. That's our baby boy that was born before our almost 3-year-old toddler. So before we had any children, we lost 2 babies. One that we held in our hands. He was about that big. He was very tiny. And the other one that we hardly knew existed in the first place. There's a lot of anxiety involved with having to make a decision such as that. Because I have people on both sides, and I'm not going to get political at all. I don't want to, but there are people who are they're against abortion 100%. And there are people that are like, okay, a woman's body is her choice and all that. I fall somewhere in the gray area in there because technically my wife had an abortion because our baby was still alive. We made the decision that it wasn't worth it to risk her life and the baby's life. In order to continue the pregnancy. So that was the first time that my anxiety really hit me, I think. And it kind of stayed hidden for a long time. It stayed under the surface. It's kind of festered. My thyroid went out of whack. I was told that I had hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism, and that my own thyroid was fighting against itself to try and regulate, and it was losing the battle. So I had, I was at one point, I was gaining weight, and at one point I was like, okay, I need to eat healthy, I need to work out, I need to do all this stuff, and nothing was happening. A month down the road, nothing was happening. I wasn't losing any weight, I wasn't losing any inches off my body, anything. And so that's when I checked, and the thyroid was bonkers. And I ended up getting it nuked, just the part that was causing issues. So now I take, a pill every day in order to make sure that my thyroid levels remain within the bounds of what they should be. It causes me to be tired, and the anxiety is part of that. Sometimes my appetite isn't there. Sometimes it's voracious. There's all sorts of pieces to it. So that was the beginning. Then we had Scarlett, and she was healthy and vivacious, and she is a firecracker of a human being. And then after Scarlett, when we got pregnant again, the baby was doing great, and we went in for, I believe it was our 12-week appointment, where they were gonna, they did the ultrasound to look at the baby, make sure everything was going well, and the ultrasound tech took a look, and we kind of had this feeling like neither of us could see the heartbeat. And I asked, what's going on? And the tech said, well, I'm going to go get the doctor and I'll be back. And we kind of knew that was what had happened. And so we lost another baby. So out of 4 viable humans, 1 was born. And compounding anxiety on anxiety in terms of that was not fantastic. It was not great. So then, eventually we got pregnant again, and we weren't expecting twins, but we got them, and they were healthy, came out healthy. They are very healthy human beings, and it's amazing. But these 2 losses, and those were the main catalysts for kind of building that anxiety back up within myself. And it's interesting because until you've had anxiety, until you've had a panic attack, you can't really describe exactly what that feeling is. Before I had a panic attack for the first time, like a major, pretty big panic attack, I didn't understand what was all involved with that process. And I can understand from someone looking in who has never experienced anxiety and panic attacks. I can understand that concept of, wait, why don't you just calm down, take a breath, and get your head back around you, and you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. I can understand that viewpoint because it's a very abstract concept, really. But after having anxiety and feeling those feelings of can't breathe, the room is spinning, you want to throw up, you want to sleep, you want to do anything, but you can't because everything seems like this gigantic weight that, if I do this, I'm going to do it wrong, I'm going to screw up, and then people are going to notice, and then I'm going to, they're going to think this way about me, and I don't want them to think this way about me. I have 3 kids at home. I don't know what I don't know. I got to keep them alive. I got to watch them all night on a monitor because what if something happens to them in the middle of the night? And it's these rambling thoughts that just run through your head, and it's hard to control it. I'm very fortunate. I have an anchor point in my wife. If I start feeling this way, if I start getting into these modes of anxiety-driven thought processes, I'm able to talk to her, and even though I might be anxious for quite a while after, it's not as bad. It's muted. It's a muted anxiety. But I still have the things like right now. For example, I'm thinking, I'm not explaining this well. I'm not talking about this well. Everybody who's watching this is thinking things about me. That's the kind of stuff that goes through my head. And that's an anxiety-driven false pretense. Because in reality, it doesn't matter. For me, this is helpful. For maybe, hopefully, somebody out there, this is helpful to talk about it, to get it out there, to say, yes, anxiety is real. Yes, it is something that thousands, if not, hundreds of thousands of people deal with on a daily basis. I've seen it a lot since I joined the streaming community on Twitch. I've seen a lot of people who talk about, the anxiety is getting to me and this and that. And it is nice to know that there are other people who understand it. Because somebody who has not had a panic attack or had this anxiety within them, they can be empathetic. They can be a shoulder that you lean on, but they don't truly understand all that's going on within your body. It can be crippling. You could, I had one night, well, that one turned out to be food poisoning, but I thought I was having a panic attack. And it was the first night that my wife went back to work after being on maternity leave after having the twins. And so it's me at home, 3 kids, and my wife is at work. And it turned out, I got food poisoning, which brought on anxiety, which brought on a panic attack. And I couldn't go to sleep until 2 or 3 in the morning. And I had to be up in the morning with the kids. Plus, at that time, the twins were waking up in the middle of the night a lot more because they're new babies and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's a very, I don't know the word. It's a very, like I said, abstract idea of, everybody experiences anxiety differently. Everybody has their own pieces of anxiety that affect them more than others. I will get off stream most days, and the thought processes that go through my head are, did I say something or do something that made people not want to watch what I'm doing? Did I alienate people? Which the alienation part of it is, everybody has their opinions and their thoughts and their belief systems and stuff like that, and that's fine, no problem at all. And I'm not gonna sit here and be the vanilla, not offend or speak my mind kind of person. I am me, and I am pretty docile by nature, but I'm going to say that I like this movie, or I like this book, or I like this thought process, or I like this or this or this, because that's my opinion. It's not a fact, it's my opinion. And I'm okay with having opinions, and other people disagree with my opinions. That's fine. But at the end of the streams, I go through those thought processes. Well, this person came in, they said hi, and then they never said anything again. Did I do something wrong? Am I not doing this the way that I should be doing it? If I'm interacting with somebody online more than they think I should be interacting with them, are they thinking that I have an ulterior motive? All that kind of stuff. It roils around in my brain and in my chest, just like, I screwed that up. Now they think I'm weird, and they don't want to be associated with me, and they don't want to ever watch my stream again, and they don't ever want to interact again, and all that stuff. It's like a tornado inside, and it's gotten better. I actually go to neurofeedback, which is very fascinating. They put little can't think of the word. This is the other thing, is I prepare, but then my brain disappears on me. They basically put little electrodes. They put electrodes on different parts of the head, which stimulate the brain in different ways to help calm and relieve anxiety and all that kind of stuff. And it has helped tremendously. I am a lot less anxious than I was a year ago. That's for sure. But, it's still there. It still sticks around. And what I've found interesting is diet and sleep actually are affecting my anxiety. If I'm eating very poorly, if I'm not getting enough rest, the anxiety is heightened for me. I don't know if it's like that for other people, but for me, that's what it is. Those two things. If I'm eating very poorly and if I am not getting enough sleep, my anxiety will go off the charts. I get these days where I'm completely apathetic. I don't have any motivation. I don't want to do anything. And then there are days where I'm absolutely motivated. I'm like, hey, I'm going to go clean this. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to run that errand. I'm going to go do that. I'm going to play with my kids. I'm going to hang out. I'm going to have a good day. So I'm still trying to figure out that balance of letting the anxiety fade into the background so that I don't lose track of the things that matter in my life, which are pretty much my family. That's the core of why I do anything that I do, is for my family. And I had another thought and it disappeared. I need to write stuff down while I'm talking. And there are different types of anxieties. There are anxieties that are warranted, that are necessary, survival anxieties. And through the neurofeedback, I'm learning what anxiety is real. Like, this is something that I should pay attention to because it's a real anxiety that's not a falsity that's in my own head. And then there's the other ones that are completely irrational, and I know they're completely irrational, and I can tell you while I'm in the middle of a panic attack that what I'm going through is irrational, but I can't get out of it sometimes. And a lot of people don't understand that, because they look and they go, okay, you're panicking, just calm down, you're fine. Because it's not a physical, there's no real physical manifestation. There's no rash, there's no, lacerations that appear on your legs, stuff like that, where people can go, oh, something is wrong, this is real. It's all a mental hodgepodge of crazy energy that is not real, but it feels like the most real feeling in that moment. And I determined that I was not going to let anxiety stop me from living life. There are times when I really want to let the anxiety win. Tonight is one of those times. I was really anxious about talking about anxiety on this podcast. And I almost backed out of talking about that and went on to a different topic. Almost. But I decided, but then I was talking to myself, and I was like, listen, if the anxiety gets the better of you, it's just going to keep doing it. And maybe it will remain, maybe it'll stick around, maybe you'll still have these issues, and the anxiety is there, and it pushes. But I can't let it win. I can't let it keep me in a state of not living. I get depressed. A lot of my anxiety right now is I have chosen to pursue this idea of streaming video games and podcasts and all this kind of stuff with quitting my job. And so this is my job. And there are days where I'm like, is it worth it? Is it going to pan out? Am I going to make this work, or am I going to affect my family in a negative way? And so I talk to my wife constantly about, how are you feeling about this? Are we still good? Are we still okay? And we determined that I'm going to start driving for Uber and Lyft again on my off time, just to provide a little extra money and keep that stress away that heightens the anxiety and the depression and all those things. And I think one of the biggest misnomers about depression is that you can't be happy and depressed at the same time. I think people don't understand that, yes, you absolutely can be happy and depressed at the same time. Harps, how's it going, brother? How you doing? Because I have a wonderful life with my family, and I love my family. And I love being with my kids. I love being with my wife. I love, it's a good life. But I still get depressed sometimes. And in the middle of depression, I can still be like, hey, I'm happy that I have my family and I have a good life. And, you can't compare one situation to a different situation. And then go, well, my life is here based on these standards. This person's life is down here based on, those standards, those same standards. So therefore, I can't complain and get depressed because I'm here and they're here. So they have much more reason to be depressed. But it's not about the comparing of the two. It's situational. It's individualistic in the situation. And so you have, I said "and so" like so many times. So I will have days where I am absolutely joyous and happy and having a wonderful day. And at the end of the day, that those thoughts invade my brain. And they go, yeah, you had a great day, but remember that conversation you had with that one person? Are you sure you ended it well? Are you sure they're thinking about you the same way? Are you sure you're going to be friends tomorrow with them? Are you sure that you didn't screw it up completely? Oh my God. I don't know. And then I run through the conversation and how I could have ended it differently and how I could have said something differently and made it so that, I don't have this anxiety of putting all this pressure on myself to maintain a relationship with somebody or to control a conversation in such a way that I feel like it was wrapped up in a nice little package with a bow on top and it's all good and happy. So, all right. Harp says, all right, just woke up from a nap, feeling all right for now. And yeah, I know what you mean about the subject at hand so far. I have that voice in my brain too. I'm even friends with his wife at this point. Yeah, it's such an interesting conundrum, I guess you could say. Because, like I said, I know that 95% of my anxiety is completely irrational. But I can't control it most of the time. There are times when I have to distract myself. That's why a lot of times I will read until I'm about to fall asleep, or I will watch something until I'm about to fall asleep, or I will play on my phone until I'm about to fall asleep. Because that keeps the voices at bay. And if I stop doing any of those things too early, I could lay in bed for another hour, 2 hours thinking and worrying and wondering about everything that happened and is going to happen. And my dad calls, worrying about the future, he calls future tripping. Because it doesn't exist. And we don't know what's going to happen. And so if you're trying to predict the future and you're trying to imagine all these horrible, terrible things that might happen if you do this and this and this, then this and this might happen, which is bad and horrible. And you're just future tripping. You're going into a space that is in non-existence at this moment. Every second, every millisecond is the present. The present is now. It's right here. Right in this moment. And nothing else exists except right in this moment. And there's a lot of the ability, if you have the ability to be present right in the moment, not thinking about past, future, just existing where you are, it can help with anxiety. But it's very difficult to do. For me, at least. And again, I can talk about this stuff all day long, and this is my experience with it. Everybody has different experiences with anxiety, depression, all this kind of stuff. Everybody. But I know some of this at least resonates with a lot of people. There's a lot of similarities within anxiety and depression and stuff like that. The circumstances might be 100% opposite ends of the spectrum, but there's a core involved with this that exacerbates a lot of this monster within your chest and brain and all that. Irrationality is one of the biggest causes of fear and anxiety, which go hand in hand. Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of my anxiety comes from fear. Fear that I'm not doing a good job as a parent. Fear that my child is going to die in the middle of the night. That's one of them. That's a big fear that I have. And it's irrational. Because there are millions of people on this planet. They grow up until they're old and gray and so to worry about that idea is not helpful. It really isn't. But it's that kind of stuff. Oh, my family is off visiting my in-laws, which they live 3 hours away. So my brain automatically goes, something's going to happen. They're going to crash on the way up there, and you're going to be alone, and all this stuff. And it's those voices that are really hard to silence. because they feel like real ideas, and like, oh well, you hear stories about this and you hear stories about that and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, it's still irrational. It could be real. It could be a real issue that happens. But to worry about every little thing that might happen takes you out of what is happening in your present, in your moment of time. Sorry. Had to get a little bit of water in there. I got you tweeted out and a little backstory for you on it. Thank you, Harps. I appreciate it. Another one, which we can actually segue a little bit into failure. For most of my life, I've been terrified of failing. You look at any scientist, any person who's considered a genius, and you look at how many times they failed in life, it's hundreds, thousands of times. They went, oh, here's an idea. I'm going to pursue this. Boom. That didn't work. But instead of going, well, that didn't work, I should just, stop. They go, that didn't work. Let's try it a different way. Or here's another thought that I have. Let's try this thought. So growing up, I still have some of this. Absolutely. But it's that fear. The fear of failing has stopped me from doing a lot of things. I was an athlete growing up. I played basketball from when I could basically walk all the way through high school. I went to Gonzaga University up in Spokane, Washington for a year and a half, and I walked on. They had a walk-on tryout. And I'm hitting the table, and you're probably hearing that through the mic. I did a walk-on tryout up there. I was pretty certain that as a 5'8" white guy, I was not going to get on the team. I was right, because everybody wanted to be a guard. And so, Mega Mira says, fail. First attempt in learning. That's a very good way of looking at it. That absolutely is. So, basketball for me was, I knew the sport. I loved the sport. I played it all through up until I basically got a phone call in my dorm room that said, hey, we've got so many guards, and so sorry, you're not going to make the team. And I was like, no worries. That's fine. But through high school, because I went to a small private Christian school, so we basically for guys at my school, it was, well, you can be on the basketball team or you can do track. And that was about it. No other choices. Tried to get a soccer team going a few times. No, it didn't work. So I had to go to the bigger schools to try and get on their teams for other sports, football, which in junior high I tried to get into football. And I got stepped in a not so nice area that really hurt, and so I quit. I was there for one day of practice, and I quit. In high school, I went and was trying out for the baseball team at one of these big schools. And the first day didn't go the way that I wanted it to, so I quit. I didn't give it a chance. I didn't give either of those things a chance. I just quit. And in my brain, instead of trying something and failing at it, I felt it was better to just quit. Quit trying. Don't try, and you can't really say that it's a failure because you don't really know. You didn't give it long enough to really say that you failed at it. You just quit. You stopped. I'm not going to do it. I'm done. It's over. And so going into college the first time, because I went to college at Gonzaga, like I said, for a year and a half before I left that school. But I didn't give up on things when I was at that school. I pushed through and tried. Like I said, I walked on the tryouts for the basketball team. We played the ultimate frisbee and football, against other dorms and stuff like that. And there were crazy times where, I got kicked in the stomach one game, but I didn't quit. I didn't stop. I didn't go, okay, well that happened and I'm going to fail at this and I'm not as good as this person. So why try? I changed that mentality. now I will push through a lot of those barriers that I put up for myself. But I still have that fear of, when I first started streaming, for example, I knew nothing, not a thing. I was like, how do I do this? What am I doing? Is this going to work? I don't think so. Maybe. I told everybody it was going to work, so I hope it works. But I knew nothing. Nothing at all. Really, truly, I was like, okay, so I get on my Xbox and I open up this app here, and so how do I record and live stream and do this and that? How do I get, okay, all these other streamers have these nice little layouts and alerts and all this. How do I even do this? And oftentimes in the past it would be, it's too much. It's too much. I'm going to fail at this, so I'll quit. And then I can't fail because I stopped doing it. But here I am 3.5, 4 months later. And I know so much more than I did. I'm at such a crazy place of, it boggles my mind how far I've come in 3-4 months already. It's like, I don't even understand. I can sit and have conversations with people. I can say the word slobs and I know, I know what I'm talking about. Whereas before I was like, slobs, what does that mean? And, anything, even the smallest things, like what's a layout? What's a layover? What's, an overlay? See, I can't even say it right. I'm backwards. An overlay. What's an overlay? I didn't know. I was like, how do I do that? How do I get an overlay? Why can't I see myself if I put this overlay on there? Oh, because I didn't do it properly in the right order. So, how do I get alerts? I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to do this. That was weird. So I'm going to do this and try this and, trial and error. And then I had a lot of help actually from and from this guy right here, Harp's Death Song. All of a sudden, randomly, out of nowhere, I think it was about a month into me doing this. Maybe less. Maybe it might have been a couple weeks, 3 weeks. And all of a sudden, I get this random host from this guy whose username, gamer tag is Harp's Death Song. And I'm like, whoa, thanks for the host, man. I was like, I didn't even know what a host was at that point. Didn't know what a raid was at that point. Anything. And he continued to talk with me, and he has helped me with a ton of things. Like for pinned hashtag. And I've been able to ask questions and go, okay, so I feel dumb, but what is this simple thing that everyone seems to know exactly what it is and have no problems with, but I can't figure it out? And his ability to assist me without this idea of, oh, come on, dude. You just figure it out. It's easy. He was very patient. He still is very patient with me. He's taken time out of his day to help me figure things out so that I understand them. Not just, here, I'll do it for you, but here's how it works so that you can make sure that you know what you're doing. And I'm not the greatest streamer there ever was. I'm definitely not the greatest video game player there ever was. If you've watched my stream, you know that's true. But it doesn't matter because, and I tell people this. I tell people because I've seen streamers who you look at the way that they communicate, and it's like, I need the numbers. I have to have the numbers. And, oh, this person didn't follow me back. And, oh, this person did da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, how can you get into a mentality? Think of it this way. How many people out there watching streamers do what they do are required to watch a streamer do what they do? Zero. Zero people are required to sit down and say, watch me talk to you on a camera. Zero people. There's no requirement for it. So if you realize that, then you realize that every view is a gift. Every follower is a gift. Every sub is a gift. Every donation is a gift. Every cheer is a gift. Every raid is a gift. Every host is a gift. This whole concept of streaming is based on the idea that it's all a gift. And if you can look at it that way, then you can't fail. You might not be at the viewers that you want to be at. You might not be at the followers or the subs or whatever that you want to be at. But you can be grateful for every single one of those. Because it's a gift. Every person that comes into my stream, watches this, even after the fact, anything like that, I'm so grateful for. And yes, there are days where I'm like, this sucked. No one was here. No one was watching me. And I start to get that defeated sense of that I'm failing at this. But I just reevaluate in my head. No, it was just a slow day. Maybe everybody was busy. Maybe nobody wanted to watch me today, and that's fine. So it's all a gift. Everything about this job is a gift. Let's catch up a little bit on the. I only have that mentality with my parents sometimes, but only when it's super simple, and I've shown them more than 3 times regarding the trying to basically walk through it at a first grade level the certain things that you understand that somebody else is not understanding. Few people actually. There are jobs for that. Yes. Yeah. Team analyst. Yep. Absolutely. But it's this is a wild world. Streaming is. It's bizarre. It really is. But I'm starting to understand more of the appeal the more I do it. Because think about it. How many people out there go and they're like, hey, I'm going to go watch this athlete play this game. I'm going to sit in a chair. I'm going to watch this athlete play a game. I'm going to go sit in a chair in a theater and I'm going to watch this person act out a movie. Okay. So how is that different than I'm going to sit in this chair and I'm going to watch somebody play a game and entertain me? It's all entertainment. It's all part of the same pool. And it's interesting kind of giving that reference to people who don't understand the idea of streaming. It's interesting once you reference the idea of, hey, do you go sit in a seat and watch another person play in a sporting match? Yes. Okay. So that's all people are doing here. The difference here is there's a connection. There's a human connection to this piece, to this whole thing. Yes, it's entertainment, exactly. That's what I love about the streaming aspect of it. That's why this vodcast is live. I love the interactivity. I want to interact with people. I have had so many people already who've told me that they love the stream. They love to watch me stream and that, all this stuff. And I'm like, what? That doesn't make sense. I guess I can be funny at times or whatever, but it's not really about that. There's an inclusiveness that comes with watching somebody who's playing a video game who looks over and goes, hey, welcome. I'm so glad you're here and you're hanging out. Let's chat. Let's talk. Let's hang out. You don't get that you go to a basketball game. LeBron James isn't going to go, hey, you in the 3rd row. How's it going? You want to come talk to me on the bench and hang out? It doesn't happen. But it does when you're streaming. You get that. Yeah, live comedy shows, another thing. You go watch people be funny. It's entertainment. That's what it is. But this has I think there is a deeper level of connectivity within the idea of streaming, where people, there's a lot of pain in this world, and there's a lot of people who feel like they cannot connect with people. They feel like that the anxiety comes up of, I'm not a good enough person that somebody would want to pay attention to me, that somebody would want to interact with me. And then they can go online and they can watch a streamer and then go, hey, love your stream. And the streamer can go, hey, thanks for the follow. Hey, I love talking to you. Let's chat more. And all of a sudden they get this idea of, okay, maybe it's not as lonesome out here as I thought. And that is a fascinating aspect of this to me. You know, and there are definitely the more toxic streams, and there are things that, people are toxic on purpose, and it flows that way better with certain audience and stuff like that. And that's why my stream doesn't jibe well with a lot of other people. They're like, oh, he's nice, and he doesn't really talk back, and he doesn't cuss on his stream and stuff like that. Which, by the way, in real life, yeah, I just like to make this more family friendly, and it's worked out very well because there are kids in school that now watch me, and I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with running a family friendly stream. It helps me so that I don't, go crazy if something's going wrong within a game or a match or whatever like that. But yeah, and I use my hands a lot when I don't have a controller in them. Can you tell? Have you noticed? Yep. Me too, says Megamira. Yes. So, I don't know. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and stuff like that. We got about 13 minutes left in this episode. Hand Talkers Unite. Yes, I like it. But I'd love to hear your all of your thoughts on this topic and any topic. I mean, if you want to talk about something else, that's fine. Great. Let's have a conversation. That's what this is about. This is about, I'm talking a lot through all of this, but it's just because I'm the one that's on the screen. I don't know. It is this whole thing is a fascinating endeavor. And you, as a streamer, you have the ability to potentially change someone's life in a minuscule or in a grand way. Really. I mean, if you can have somebody who is depressed and down, and they come and they're like, I'll just watch this guy for a little bit. And then you cheer them up and their day turns around. That can happen. It can. And that is an amazing concept of empowering other people to be themselves and to be lifted up. I mean, that's it's just kind of, you're like, wait, what? The power. But yeah. Megamira says, I appreciate your family-friendly stream because I can turn it on while my son is playing and maybe have some non-toddler interactions. And it's good laughs. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you laugh and have fun. And that's the thing. There's a lot of people that are at home with their kids and stuff, and they're like, well, I don't want them to be picking up on certain words. And so that's why I try to do what I do is I want anybody to be able to watch me. And not go, oh, hell, who knows what's going to come out of his mouth. And so I gain viewers that way, and I probably lose viewers that way. But I'm okay with it. Let's see here. What else? What else we got, people? What else can we talk about for 10 more minutes? Do you have any questions for me? Sorry, are we talking about me now? Sorry, I had to do it. No, I do not call people out unless I'm streaming with them and I say family friendly stream or I sing it. You've heard me sing it before. Uh, and, I'm not here to control anybody else who's playing with me. And I've told other people that have played with me that, if I'm putting a damper on their ability to express themselves verbally, I'm fine with not, with playing on my own and stuff like that. I have to be careful about the way that I say things right now with that because that can be twisted in some interesting ways. Oh, water is good. Um, but yeah, it's been a fascinating journey. The communities out there are impressive, actually. The people that are out there to help build community and not competition, which is something that I stole from Pips Donuts. Those guys, they are all about community, not competition. It's a local business here in the Northwest. But yeah, if you want to see it, look at Snips and Clips when you get a chance. Okay, I will look at Snips and Clips after this and check it out. But I don't know. Maybe we end a little bit early tonight on this. I'm trying to think of anything else that kind of pertains to what we're talking about. If any of you have any questions, thoughts, comments, stories, anything like that, we can keep going for another 8-10 minutes. Other than that, I think I'm tapped on this topic. I will be posting this on YouTube within the next few days. I do the live on Fridays, and then I have the kiddos on Saturdays and Sundays right now because that's when my wife works overnights. So I'm watching. I'm the sole person for the most part on those days. So it's usually Tuesday that I post it on YouTube, but I'm trying to get it faster than that. All right. Yeah, I think that's about all I got. Thanks for listening to the personal side of a lot of this stuff, and I hope that talking about the anxiety and depression and all of that is helpful to somebody out there who feels like they're alone in it, because you are not alone. No matter what, even if you're in real life situation feels like you're alone, you're not. There are people out there who care and who want to help in any way they can. And so, don't give up. Don't give up hope. If you ever want to talk, you can DM me on Twitter. You can whisper me on Twitch. Anything like that. I'm here to be an ear for you. Nobody should suffer through this monster alone. It's a vicious thing that can drag you down, and I don't want to see it drag anybody down. So I hope you all, there it is, right there. If you look in the chat right now, and I will say it out loud for the people who are just going to be watching this after the fact. There's the number 1-800-273-8255. If you feel like you cannot talk to any friends about what's going on with depression, anxiety, anything like that, if you feel like no one in your life will understand, or they mock you, or whatever the case may be, 1-800-273-8255 is a great number that you can call and just talk to somebody, anybody. And Harps also says, I am also here for anyone who needs it. So like I said, there are people out there and they care, and they're not going to mock you, and they're not going to push it to the side like it doesn't matter, because it does. Every person matters. No matter if you think you do or not, you matter. 100%. So I'm going to say goodbye with that. For now, I'll be back on shortly for my regular stream. Just going to take a little break. Got to walk around a little bit, kind of shake off the serious vibes and get ready for more of the fun vibes. But thank you for hanging out. Harp says you can find me on Twitter, Discord, Steam, Facebook, literally just about anywhere. Just search the name. Harp's Death Song. So, all right, I am going to go get ready for the stream that's happening probably in about 20 minutes, half an hour. Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope somebody holds on to a little bit of something that I said this evening. Again, this is an interactive concept, and I know as it continues, it'll get more and more interactive, and we'll get more people. But like I've said before, whoever watches this, there's a reason, It's not about getting thousands of people to watch. I'd be okay with that. That'd be great. More people to interact with and all that. But the people that are here, there's a reason for it. There's a reason for everything. Whether you believe it or not, I believe that. I believe there's a reason for everything. And so I hope you got something out of this. And I will be back doing another Stuff and Things next Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet. So if you have any suggestions, thoughts, anything like that, like I said, you can find me on Twitter. You can, I have a Facebook page, Old Man Nico. Twitter is Old Man Nico 2018. Twitch, you can whisper me, anything like that. Give me ideas. I would love to, like I said, this is an interactive thing. I want to know what people want to talk about, what they want to listen to, and all that kind of stuff. So let's do that. And real quick, I'll see what Harps is. I'm gonna do some leagues with something. I'll be out for some Fortnite if you want me to pop in. Awesome, great. Set up in your social media and stuff. All right. So thank you. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I hope you have a wonderful night, and I will talk to you guys later. I will see you in the future.